All right, servus and welcome everyone to our kickoff meeting for the collaborative writing of the Neco white paper. I'm really excited about today because finally we're getting started with the version 3 of the white paper. The last version 2, was actually written 2019, 2020. So that was the white paper our team has written for the Neco prototype, which has been, the basis for what we did by then. But over the years, we've learned a lot in this Neco prototype from our community, from things that happened. But also there have been a lot of changes on the legal side. And that is also another reason why now, as we're preparing for our ICO next year, we are issuing a new white paper, which will be the final one. And the white paper, as you guys might know, is one of the most important documents for cryptocurrency. It explains how the cryptocurrency works. It explains the tokenomics, the purpose of the project, and so on. So it's really one of the crucial documents. So following our philosophy of doing things collectively, of using the collective intelligence of our community, we decided that this time we will do the white paper together with the entire community. Well, the people of the community who want to participate. So we invite everyone who's a Neco member to participate in the collaborative writing of the white paper. And today I'm gonna guide you through the kickoff. So we're gonna talk about the procedure. I'm gonna share with you give you a bit of an overview of the Neco white paper and the Neco constitution, which is the second document we're gonna work on collectively. And then, we have additional time for questions and answers. All right, so let me share my screen to get started. Neco white paper, I hope it's the right one. Yes. Perfect. Okay, guys, so here, this is the next version of the white paper, version 3, that we're gonna work on. If you are familiar with how we work at Neco, we do not use Microsoft Office. We are all in the cloud. We're using Google Docs, Google Sheets, so the entire Google Workspace, because it is a very collaborative environment, where people can work together. We can leave comments and suggestions, and it's very easy for a group of people to work on the same document at the same time. So this is why we have chosen Google Docs as the format for this collaborative writing. There are other tools out there, but this is the tool that we use at Neco internally anyways. And you can, when you look at this document, you can see the different contributors, editors that are working here. You can see the changes and suggestions that people have made. And we can work on these comments and suggestions, accept them, reject them. So this is how we want to work together. In general, the purpose is that, we don't expect everyone in our community to be able to write a white paper. That's why we have, two main editors on this white paper who have experience. Myself, I have a bit of experience, at least with the last version. And then Dan, who's on the call as well, who has written way more white papers than I have. So he has a lot more experience. He just recently joined our team, specifically for this purpose here of managing or supporting the collaborative writing of the white paper. And we have other people in our team that are involved, for example, our legal advisors, because there's a lot of legal implications that have to be respected in the white paper. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. So as I said, the white paper describes the Neco project. It describes the token. It also describes our vision of a financial system. We call it the Neco system, a sustainable financial system that serves the people and the planet. It describes our organization, the Neocracy, a DAO based on a holacracy management system. And it describes other aspects, legal aspects. It describes tokenomics. It describes our roadmap and other topics around the regulatory framework. The purpose of this collaborative writing is to involve our community in the process of creating this white paper. Following our idea of collective intelligence, so using the intelligence of every individual, of all the individuals that are interested, but also following our democratic approach of doing things together with our community, for our community, rather than a few people in our board dictating how the white paper or the Neco token works. We give some guidelines, and we want to encourage a discussion and also integrate ideas, thoughts, and suggestions from our community into the process. Okay. So the first page that I'm gonna cover here is actually will not be part of the final white paper, but it's the procedure that we're gonna use for writing this white paper. Again, this is some suggestions. If there are additional suggestions from our community, today is the day where we finalize the procedure. So we agree on what the procedure will be, how we proceed with writing the white paper. And then over the next weeks, we will do the work. So this is what we have suggested. So we suggested that all Neco members can participate in a collaborative writing of the Neco white paper. And there's an additional document, the Neco Constitution. And I'm gonna talk about the differences in a second. So there's actually two documents, but the Neco white paper is actually the main one, where we are more interested in getting the feedback from our community. The Neco Constitution is more internal and how our DAO is structured and organized. So it might not be so relevant for most members, but we want to be the same. We want to be open. We want to invite our members to be integrated, because the Neco Constitution is another very important document, probably in terms of importance, number 2 after the white paper. So everyone with a Google account can have access. So you can request access right now, all except for the editors, meaning Dan, me, and our legal team. We are the only ones who have edit access, so we can actually make edits directly in the document. All others have the opportunity to make suggestions or leave comments in the document. And then the editors will review these suggestions, will review the comments, and incorporate them as much as possible. Obviously, just to make you aware, it's impossible to make everybody happy or to integrate everyone's feedback. Also, sometimes you have conflicting feedback. So it is the job of the editors to integrate the feedback as, in the best intent they can into the white paper. Yeah, and we use for communication, we would like to encourage everyone to stick to Google. Yeah, you can also, you can add comments. I'm going to show you quickly how you do it. So if you want to add a comment to a certain section, let's say here, Google Docs, I want to make a comment to that. I can just click on this add comment button here, and I can write my comment. If I want to specifically address that comment to a person, like I would like to invite Dan to deal with this topic, then I would say, Dan, please deal with this topic, right? And I can click on here, assign to Dan. Then click assign, and he will be notified that he is included in one of these comments, and he can follow up with you. So this is what we call a comment. Yeah, so you can comment. What we would like you to do in comments is give us your feedback. You don't have to explain in detail what you would like to have, but feedback means, do you like it? Like positive, you can say, this is something I would like to, this is a part that is very important for me, or you can say, this is unclear, can you please clarify? Or you can say, this is something that should be more detailed. You can say, this is something that I consider unimportant, maybe take it out. Now, the goal of this white paper is also to describe the process in 30 or 35 pages. We're trying to keep it to an amount of pages that is digestible. In today's time, with all the social media and phones and everything, attention span is quite limited with most people. So we're trying to keep the amount of information in the white paper to a minimum, but obviously there are requirements, including the legal requirements, which require us to explain certain things in the white paper in more detail. Right? But the goal is to keep it short, to use language, we call it plain English, that people understand. So people in general, like the target group of this white paper is, of course, our investors and our community, at least the people who are interested in more detail in understanding the system. So we want to have a white paper in the end, which is easy to understand, easy to digest for people who don't necessarily have a crypto background or are so familiar with crypto. They would still need to understand the basics, probably not in every detail, not the details of the tokenomics section, for example, but at least get a good understanding of what Neco is when they read the white paper. The other target audience are the authorities. They will also look at our white paper for the license application. So it's one of the key documents that we have to submit to the documents, to the authorities in order to obtain our crypto license. So, but for them, we will have, so as far as we understand right now, as far as the MiCA regulation will be implemented in Estonia, there will be a separate white paper format that we submit to the authorities in a different format that the authorities have prepared to make life for them a little easier, because they're getting a lot of white papers and they're all kind of different structured. So they have decided that they want it in a certain structure. But that white paper for the authorities will be based on this white paper. This is the basic white paper for everything else. Okay. However, in this white paper, we want to keep it simple. We want to try to keep the legal language out and use plain English. All right. The other thing that you can do as a normal contributor is you can make suggestions. So suggestions, this is this button here. Suggestion is like a comment, but you actually write what you would like to see here. So if I want to change suggestions to proposal, I would just say, I would make a suggestion and now enter proposal. Yeah, comments and proposals. So now the editors can see that I made this proposal to change suggestions to proposals, and they can decide whether they want to accept or reject the suggestion. It will appear as a comment, kind of. So I can see here that someone made a suggestion to change it, and then the editors can say, all right, I want to accept the change or reject it. So this is particularly useful if you notice any spelling errors, typos, or in general language issues. I'm not a native English speaker. Dan is neither. But if there are native English speakers on board and you see there's something that you wouldn't say in English normally, please feel free to make a proposal to change the wording or certain sentence or something, and then we can have a look at that. Okay. Then, so from this side, I think there's no questions really from our side in terms of communication. So the main work will happen on Google. So communicating directly through these comments and here through, by directly messaging editors, which you can also do here. You can use send message and chat. So I can chat with Daniel. You can communicate with the team. But we also suggest that we use our WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp community, for people to raise more complicated questions, which they want the group to discuss. So we have a WhatsApp group. I'll actually add the link here. That's good. I'll make the suggestion here to add the link. So for those people who haven't joined the WhatsApp group yet, just join it. and we will use our group chat to discuss certain topics in the white paper. Right? So you can also bring up a topic, let's say we talk about the free tax, and if you have any suggestions or if you have any links you want to share, you can also do this on WhatsApp. We still recommend do things in Google directly because then it's easier for our editors, but we will open up the discussion on WhatsApp on, on this white paper as well. There was another proposal that's to do it in Slack because internally at Neco we use Slack for communication. But because Slack is not so used by our members, and we have our WhatsApp group already, the suggestion is to use our WhatsApp group. Okay. Yeah, in terms of timing, today is the kickoff. And our proposal is to have a weekly update call where we can get together and discuss questions and discuss updates. We have about 10 chapters to write. Our goal is to finish this exercise by end of May, so within the next 8 to 9 weeks, which means we will probably have to write one chapter per week. So we'll write it, review it, and do the next chapter, write it, review it. And we would suggest to set up a update call every week, Thursday, around this time. Okay. So regarding this procedure, are there any questions? Are there any suggestions, any ideas? Do you agree? Do you have any tensions? That's another thing. If you feel there's something that is written here which triggers attention in you, like you feel like, oh, I don't like this, or this is something I'm not comfortable with, this is exactly when you should add a comment or make a suggestion. This is really important. Tensions. If you have something like this, bring it up, bring it to the surface, and then we can deal with it. Okay. Any questions from the audience? Good. Then I would just move on to the next section here, which is the topic of rewards. So as usually, we want to remunerate our members for contributing to the collective intelligence. We do this, for example, with our community happiness survey, which is also currently running. So by contributing to Collexa, we want to give something back. We want to reward it. And we thought of a reward model for this collaborative writing, where we would differentiate the reward based on the level of contribution of each individual. And we decided, or the suggestion for this is to differentiate between 3 levels of contribution, low, medium, and high, and give rewards ranging from 25 to 100 Neco to every contributor. Low contribution means, you have at least made a meaningful comment or suggestion that was helpful, that was meaningful. So that would be considered a low level of contribution, and you would earn 25 Neco at the end of this exercise. Medium is if you attend one of our meetings, and in addition to that, provide a meaningful comment or suggestion. And high is if you have attended multiple meetings and were really involved in the process of writing the white paper. So these are the rewards we suggest for normal Neco members in our team. So the partners that work for us, that get paid by us, you would simply log your hours as you do today on the task called white paper, and we pay you based on the hourly rates that are agreed. Okay. Then you raised your hand.
Right. I wanted just to note that a meaningful comment, what we discussed, is something that end up with the real changes to the white paper text, right? So something that was used by the editors at the end in any chapter. So that's something that should be noted as meaningful. Is it right?
Exactly, yeah. Meaningful means it has an impact on us, it was helpful, and it shows that the person paid attention and contributed, made actually a contribution to this white paper.
Right.
Okay. Non-meaningful comment would be okay. I don't like this. This is also, acceptable. You can really do this. But meaningful is a bit more, where it is something that really helps us. Okay. So the question that came up is, how do we track meeting attendance? Because it's also part of this contribution level. The suggestion I have is, in our Zoom meetings, we can have a report with all the attendees, and we would use that report to track attendance. The only thing that I would like to, if that's okay for everyone, I would just ask you to make sure you have your full name in Zoom, first name, last name, so we know who it is, because Zoom will only tell us what the information you're provided. So if you just enter Daniel as your name in Zoom, then we won't be able to know which Daniel it was usually. Okay. In the Google Doc, we can always see who added the comment. So in there, it's quite easy. But in the Zoom meetings, if you attend Zoom meetings, just make sure your full name is there so we know who attended. Okay. Are there any suggestions, questions regarding the reward structure? Great. Then I'll proceed to the next part, which is timeline. As I said, so today is the kickoff meeting. We have agreed on the procedure. The suggestion is to do a weekly review every Thursday at this time. It will usually take, suggest an hour or so. It will always be Dan and me participating at least, and then other members can join. We will discuss updates, we will discuss topics or more complex questions that came up. So it's a great opportunity to get an update and to stay involved. And we would like to finish the white paper exercise by end of May. So within the next, so we have 2 months of time. Resources. Here, this table lists additional resources for you, all the links to the documents that you might need. So the most important one is obviously the white paper, this document. The other one is the Neco Constitution, which I will cover in a second. So the Neco Constitution is is a document that describes the structure of the organization, the DAO, our values, our culture, our management system, the holacracy, and our governance protocol. So it's more internal, maybe it's more detailed than the white paper, and it exactly describes what are the roles, what are responsibilities. It might be interesting for you guys, especially if you're not familiar with decentralized management systems. I personally highly recommend the topic of holacracy. We've been working with this management system for a couple of years now, and I am very excited about it. I would never go back to a traditional hierarchical management system, as it's, in my opinion, so much better. So if you're interested in that, you can also participate in the collective or collaborative writing of the Neco Constitution. This document is already at a stage which is much closer to finalization than the white paper. So many parts have already been written and used because our organization has been active for a long, long time. And we follow this constitution. It's already a document that is out there, is public, and is used. And so we're just working on the next version. It's currently in version 2, and we want to move it forward to version 3. Then there's another document I would like to quickly share with you guys, which is our flyer. So Dan's team prepared that. It's still a draft, so a very quick draft done. This is Neco explained on one page. We talk about the mission in general, then our mission, vision, values, the problems that we're trying to solve, like from the financial problems, but also the ecological, social, and financial problems. The solution, the components of our system, ranging from the Neco token to StackChain and Collexa, our technologies, where we are right now, the performance of the token, and the comparison to the other cryptocurrencies out there. Okay, so this is a draft. We're gonna work on it also over the next few weeks. But there will also be an update of our branding and of our website. So there will be a few changes happening on the market side. I included this flyer here as an additional source. If you want to have a look at it, and then, if you can leave comments also here, either directly here in this document, or you can comment on PDFs as well. So just leave a comment there if you have any suggestions, any improvements. So this is how we want to describe Neco in a one-page document for people to understand the basics of this project. There's a glossary which contains all the terms and definitions we use, and then you have the old version of the white paper and the old version of the flyer for your reference. So this white paper is from 2020 and hasn't been updated since, but many parts are still relevant for today. There's a few changes that will happen, especially around the Neco reserve. This is one of the bigger changes that we had this year. But other than that, many parts will remain practically the same with a few changes from what we learned over the last years. And roles. So in this project, the owner of the white paper, that's me as the founder. The white paper is a domain that is in my role. I will write it together with Dan, who'll probably take a bit more of the writing part, but we're gonna do this more or less together. And we have our legal team on board, Lexlaw, who are supporting us in Estonia and Lithuania with the application for our crypto license, actually legal advisor. Yeah. And also Julia, I might actually add her. She's running our legal, she's responsible for legal in our organization. So these are the people that have edit permissions, and let me just change here to editing. Insert, add. Exactly. So now we have the team. So these are the people with editing permissions. If at any point in time, any of the other contributors feels like they want to write actually parts of this white paper, we can upgrade your permissions. So to say, give you editing permissions, and then you can start writing things. Yeah. For right now, we kept it to a few people because we don't want everyone to keep writing and writing over each other, but we are open to inviting more people and granting editing permissions. Okay. So with these words, I would like to finish this part around the collaborative writing procedure. And ask anyone here on the call if there are any questions or there are any tensions or any suggestions regarding the procedure. Okay, no questions means this procedure is agreed, and we will continue following this procedure in the next weeks. So now the next agenda item is the introduction to the white paper. I'm just going to go through the white paper with you quickly, give you an overview of where things are right now, what the different chapters are, what we're going to cover. So you understand roughly, which chapter covers which topic. In a very general way, this Neco project, we divided into three main parts. The first part is the Neco currency. This is about the token, the Neco token, which is explained in this white paper. This is equivalent to other currencies, Bitcoin, and we describe how it works, how we make it profitable, stable, and secure. Then the other part is the financial system that we want to build, our vision of a sustainable financial system. The term we use for that is Neco system. So the Neco system is the financial system that we want to build. And then last but not least is our organization, the Neocracy. The Neocracy is a decentralized autonomous organization built on the holacracy management system, which incorporates collective intelligence to manage the currency and the system collectively with all members. And these in general are the three parts of the entire Neco project. So going to each chapter now in detail. So the first chapter will be roughly like 3 pages, is about the vision and the reason for the product. So we're going to talk about our mission, vision statement, our values, a lot of the information that you will find in the flyer and in our pitch deck, for example. We're going to talk about goals and objectives and how they align with the sustainable development goals. We talk about the target audience. So who is the target audience for Neco? The LOHAS, the lifestyles of health and sustainability. Who are the beneficiaries? And we were going to talk about the key terms of the project. The Neco currency, the Neco system, and the Neocracy. These three things that I mentioned earlier. Okay, so the purpose of this chapter is to explain our mission, our vision in short sentences using our standard mission vision statements to the target audience. Second part is the market overview. In this part, we describe the market that we're in. And this is a bit more than just the crypto market, the fiat currencies, the financial systems, because we do a bit more. We're not just a cryptocurrency. We also have our own technology called StackChain, which is a blockchain in the cloud, or I would say a better version of the blockchain, which will be a separate token in the future, which will be a separate offering, which means this is also a different market that we will cover with StackChain. Like, I always say Neco is a bit like the green Bitcoin. StackChain is an alternative to Ethereum or other platforms. And last but not least, the topic of DAO, a decentralized organization, and how we manage our DAO using collective intelligence through Colexa. Colexa is another future product that we're going to offer to the market. So we have 3 products in our pipeline: Neco, StackChain, and Colexa. Now, this white paper will not go into detail about StackChain and Colexa. We will just cover them on the surface, like a general overview. Because once we launch these products, we will have separate white papers for StackChain and for Colexa. But we are still going to talk about them here to give them an overview of where we are, and that Neco is more than just a cryptocurrency. Okay. So yeah, and we're gonna put some data behind it, like adjusting the market size. The good thing is we had a great accelerator program 2 years ago where we have done a lot of this work already. So we have the numbers, and Dan is super knowledgeable in that space, so has a lot of information about the crypto market, and so we will put some numbers, mostly with the intention of showcasing the potential that Neco has in the market and giving investors an understanding of the size of the market and the potential market share. Yeah, there's a question in chat. I'm just gonna go quickly in. Yeah. Could I zoom in? Yeah, it's a good idea. Thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit now. I hope it's better now. Thank you, Katja, for letting me know. So I hope you can see it better. It jumped. Yes. So next chapter, Neco project. So in this chapter, which is 5 pages, we're gonna talk about the project. We're gonna talk about the entire project ecosystem, the participants and stakeholders, the economic principles, the solutions like the platform, our products and services, and our goals and how we measure our goals. So for those of you who don't know exactly what our goals are, so we measure our impact through the triple bottom line. So that's one of our goals, to increase the triple bottom line, meaning increase people, planet, profit. A triple bottom line equals people, planet, profit, the amount of money we give to the people, the amount of money we give to the planet, and the amount of profit we generate for our members. The other thing is the community happiness index. So this is like our new indicator that replaces indicators like GDP. So instead of being growth oriented, like a GDP, we go to a happiness oriented indicator, the community happiness index. And this one will also be explained here. The question I have here already is, yeah, Dan, do you think 5 pages is, yeah, you said 5 pages because of all the visualizations, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I believe half of it will be just visualizations, if not
Yeah.
3 pages out of 5. So I assume it will be long because of that.
Yeah. So your thought was to put in more visualizations in the beginning so that people get a better visual image about what the project
Right.
means. Okay. Yeah, makes sense to me. Good. Right. Are there any questions in the audience regarding this particular chapter? Okay, then let's move on to the next. The Neco organization. So here, Dan, I already have the suggestion to move that chapter, move chapter 4 to chapter 6. So I would suggest to start with Neco currency and then Neco system and then Neco organization. Or is there a reason why we should start with the organization?
There was a reason because there were measurements firstly in this chapter, but now when we transferred measurements of success to the Neco project, I believe we could move it 100%.
Okay, cool. Move 6 after Neco system. Okay, good. Yeah, I think in general, we should keep the structure of starting with the currency, which is probably for most people the easiest to understand. That's what they start associating Neco with. And then to the next level, which is the system, so they understand the bigger picture. It's like, for me, the currency is more the vision. The currency is the mission of the company. The system is the vision. It's the bigger vision where we want to move in, building a new financial system. And the organization is that what what implements this vision, the organization, how we work together internally, but also with our members. So that's why I think it makes sense to have it in this order. Yeah. And in this part of the Neco organization, we will also link to the other document, the Neco Constitution. So the Neco Constitution is a very important document, describes how our DAO operates, how it works, how we do things like governance, how we structure the organization, how we manage it. This is in a separate document, which I will discuss after this white paper. Okay. And as you see, guys, here, so the cool thing about Google, if you haven't been working with this, is you can edit it directly, and you can see, I can see and can watch Dan making changes live from the document. So I'm really happy about all these features now. It allows us to work together at the same time instantly, but also at different times. So some people can do a review, some people are sleeping, and then other people can pick up the work the next day. And you see all the suggestions here in the document. I can keep another thing that is really cool is version history. So you can look at the version history here, and you can see all the changes that have been made and who suggested them. So yeah, really love Google Docs, in case I haven't said that yet. Okay. Next section is the Neco currency. So this is 6 pages, what we aim to get. 6 pages to explain the currency. This goes into more detail about things like, the pricing, how we collectively determine the price, the money supply, how token exchange works. And we will also provide some data from our prototype. For the last 4 years, we've been super successful, guys. We've been one of the best performing cryptocurrencies in the market with a really consistent high performance in terms of profitability, stability, and security. So here we've really set a benchmark, and this is what we want to show here for people to see that it is possible to build a positive system that generates profit while being stable and secure without losing any value over a long period of time. Yeah. A very important thing to mention is that there will be no more reserve. There is no reserve. So in the previous version of the white paper and until the end of the last year, we had the Neco reserve, which was backing up the Neco tokens with fiat. We have replaced the Neco reserve system with a new system called the Neco treasury. For various reasons, because we believe that the new system is more efficient, more flexible, and more secure. And we're gonna talk about this in detail. But there's also another reason is with assets that are backed by reserves fall under a specific regulation under the new crypto regulation, and that would limit our abilities massively. Actually, it would make our project impossible because it requires a full reserve and not a fractional reserve. So that's what the law requires. So that's why we decided, okay, it wouldn't work with the current legal framework. So we're gonna change from a reserve-based system to a treasury system. And so this is very important for you guys to understand. And that means we have to avoid a few words like reserve will be a word that we have to avoid. And this will be called the treasury. The only word with reserve is the reserve rate. This parameter, this KPI, we will continue to use. But other than that, the word reserve should not be used in this white paper, as it could lead to the authorities treating our token as what's called an asset referenced token. And that is not a category we would like to be classified in. It wouldn't work with our model. Okay, so that's a very important part. Yeah, revenue generation. We have these 3 tokens in our pipeline, Neco, which is already out in private sales, and Section and Collector of the Future. There's donations that we receive. That's another source of income. And in future, we also want to have premium subscription that will generate revenue for our system. Okay. So this part, the Neco currency, is probably one of the core parts of the white paper. The next is the Neco system. The Neco system is our vision of a sustainable financial system. In this chapter, we talk about positive money, the difference of Neco, which is positive money, to fiat, which is negative money because it's generated from debt. And it's a system full of debt, whereas our system is completely free of debt, at least public debt. Personal debt is a different topic. And then the social part, universal basic income, the environmental part, the carbon offset and reforestation. And we will probably cover the topic of taxation, our new suggestion for a taxation based on resource consumption. And a taxation system which is called the free tax, which is more based on voluntary tax payment and transparency than on the current taxation system, which is focused on things like income taxation, which is highly complicated and causes a lot of challenges and even drives companies bankrupt and people into poverty. Good. So after we've discussed the Neco system, then there will be this chapter, Neco organization and neocracy. That was the previous chapter 4. We will move that here into chapter 6. The Neco platform and technology will talk a bit more about the other 2 products in our pipeline. We'll talk about StackChain, what StackChain is, why we've decided to develop our own protocol, our own distributed ledger technology, and we'll talk about Collexa. So as I said, we will not go into too much detail, maybe 1 page each, just to give a quick overview of what these components are. As all the details will be delivered in separate white papers for StackChain and Collexa in the future. We're gonna talk about Karma, the Karma points and systems. Again, here, this is a change. Beginning of this year, we have removed all Karma tokens. So Karma is no longer a token. We are in the process of replacing it with a new system based on Karma points and Karma levels and badges. Here, this would be Karma points and Karma points. We also need the topic of badges. And this. Okay. Thanks, Dan, for doing it while I speak. Very fast. Yeah, and prototype. We will talk about what we have done so far in the terms of prototype development. Okay, so this is more the technical part for the people who are interested in the technology, which is still quite a lot. So this is their chapter. And then we move on towards the strategy and roadmap. Dan, maybe you can say a few words about these subchapters and how you plan to develop this chapter in the white paper, especially regarding the OKR.
You asked me to comment that. I just
Yes.
lost 1 sentence, I
So
believe.
yeah.
Sure.
Wanna give a quick comment on this one?
Yeah, sure. So basically, the logic here is we would provide the most high level, like say, big picture roadmap of the Neco development for the decade, including past and the future. Then the roadmap for 2024, 2025, which will closely relate to subchapter 3, which is an OKR planning for Neco, where we suggested to provide objective and key results planning, which is basically just a map that would include all activities that we are planning to do in the project and all key results that we would measure, that we will use to measure these activities. And yes, the sub-chapter 3 and sub-chapter 2, they will be very closely related. And the roadmap 24-25 will just outline activities that will be in more detail described in OKR planning for the next 2 to 3 years. And the last one, 5 years forecast, it will be more like financial forecasts.
Yeah.
Let's say the community, the people, profit, and planet. I guess with these three key measures, will outline what are our forecasts. Well, till 2028, I believe. So 4 years, I guess.
Yeah. Great, thank you for that. And there's also examples here for the AKR map that you provided. The roadmap, the full roadmap for the 10 years, this is pretty much similar to what we already have on our webpage, where you can see all the milestones over the last years and what the future is. For the forecast, we have this plan of using Collexa to do collective forecasting. We've done that in the past with our team a few times. It's it's a thing that we could see if we can make this happen for the next forecast to make it collective. Inviting our team members to participate in a collective forecasting. The way it works is that everyone can submit their own forecast in a way. And we use methods of collective intelligence to combine that and create a new forecast. We've tested it once. It actually worked. The collective forecast was at least better than mine. So this is something that if we have enough time, we could implement. But let's see if we have the time to do it for this white paper. Otherwise, we can do it later and provide an updated version of the white paper. Good. Yeah, and then coming to the end, regulatory and compliance. Here we will talk about the regulatory part, the MiCA regulation, which is the main regulation that applies to us when it comes to the crypto license. We'll talk about the legal structure, about the various parts of the organization and where they will be incorporated. We'll give a bit of an overview about the risks and other relevant regulations. So this is important because that is something that will be used, will be very useful to the authorities when we submit it for the crypto license. Okay. And then there's here the about. Actually, this is not really a chapter. It's just an info about the white paper. Just a document information at the end. So in total, we anticipate the document to be 30 pages, 35. So we want to keep it short. If we need more pages, then okay, it's not. The most important thing is to keep it within 30 pages. It's important that this white paper describes the project and that people can understand it. But we like to keep it short. So the goal is to stay somewhere in this range, around 30 pages. Okay. Good. And I see that Julia has added another summary. Okay, yeah, the legal disclaimer at the end makes sense. Good, guys. So I'm gonna just quickly stop sharing my screen and go back to our round and ask into this group, are there any suggestions? Are there any questions? Any feedback? Is it clear what we're doing? Okay. Yeah, no questions. All right, then we move on. I'm going to share my screen again. And so I think we're almost done, but there's one more topic I would like to discuss, which is the other document, the Neco Constitution. So the Neco Constitution is probably the second most important document in our project. It's the document describes how our DAO, the necracy, works, how it is structured, and it is more internal. It's more detailed than the white paper. It includes some topics which are also covered in the white paper, but it goes into way more detail. Every legal entity that is part of our DAO will ratify the constitution. So we'll make sure that every organization or sub-organization that's part of the overall DAO follows these core rules. So what's written in the constitution, it's very similar to like the constitution of a country, right? It describes, first of all, the mission, vision, values, like in the white paper, here for our organization to make it, to enshrine these values in our constitution, making sure that all our decisions and actions are aligned with these values. And we also put in the structures like the supervisory board that is responsible for enforcing these values within our organization. The Neco Constitution has already been written. We've been using it. We've been following it for the last year. So this was what you see here is version 3 in a draft based on version 2. It's already 15 pages long. I think if I go here to the, making it larger. So now I think you can read it better. And it consists of the parts. We talk about the neocracy here. Mission, values, goals, and then principles and culture. So our internal principles, agile, working, the partner qualities, serving the common good. So this describes how the organization, how we as an organization want to build our culture and which principles we follow. We'll talk about membership here. So how you become a member of the neocracy. Yeah, everyone who signs up for Neco is considered a member in this organization, and you have a vote. Voting rights, they are tied not to the token, they are tied to your membership. That's a very important thing. A lot of people think, in order to have a vote in Neco, you have to have Neco tokens. That's actually not the case. You have to be a member. You have to be registered. Even if you have no money at all, no Neco tokens, you still have a vote. We talk about the Neco system. We talk about the structure. So here, this is the Neco Constitution. It's very important to understand. It's based upon the Holacracy Constitution. So Holacracy is this management system that we use, this non-hierarchical management system. They have a standard constitution that you find on holacracy.org. We have used that as a basis for our own constitution. So the constitution is the Neco Constitution sits on top and specifies in more detail the topics that are specific to our organization. We have some differences. For example, we have a supervisory board. We have this division of power between a supervisory board, the executive board, and the membership, the collector. There's other important parts internally, like how the organization receives money. We create our own money. Most of our partners get paid in Neco. So we create money for the organization, and this is provided by the organization for the different legal entities. So this is all described here in topics like money supply, treasury, and exchange. Then governance. So this section describes, for example, policies, how all of our processes have to be documented in policies, how we make changes in the organization, how we deal with tensions and disputes within the organization. The other topic is operations. We use a shared platform for the entire DAO with multiple legal entities using the same tools, using the same system, accessing the same information, even though they're separate legal entities. It talks about sharing rules, about cooperation, about things like tactical meetings and governance meetings, and it talks about compliance. And last but not least, but very important, as with every constitution, you have to have processes for making changes, for updating the constitution in the future. So this is where we describe how changes can be made to the constitution. There will be votes. We will have, depending on certain changes, there will be certain requirements for votes. Like the majority of people have to agree in order to bring in a change to the constitution. Okay. So as I said before, this Neco constitution is an additional document that is very important for us more internally. So I don't think that this is relevant for all our members in all the detail, but it's still here for you to review, to ask questions, and especially interesting for people who are interested in a decentralized organization and understanding how a DAO works. Okay. So again, here the goal for the constitution is to be somewhere in the space of 20 to 30 pages. So I think currently it's 15, but it's I would say it's 60, 70% is already complete. So it's 30% missing. Yeah, so we might end up somewhere between 20 and 30 pages. Okay. So that was the part about the Neco Constitution. Again, looking into the audience, any questions, any concerns? Thumbs up from Dan, that sounds good. Anyone else, any questions? No?
Hey Flo, I have a very brief question regarding the voting, and this is, probably not directly related, but I'm just curious, what kind of voting mechanism is it? It's going to be quantitative, qualitative, one person, one vote? Is it going to be based on how, your vote is determined by, your karma level or what have you?
So in general, we have this principle that every person has one vote, equality, in our system. So most of the decisions are based on that. We have different mechanisms of collective intelligence, so different methods of how we come to result. Like in a referendum, we use different methods. For example, one is a collective ranking. So we collectively rank various options and we choose the option with the highest collective rate, not ranking, rating. Yeah, collective rating. So that is not the same as one vote per person. Everyone can have a vote, but it's a rating, and then we calculate the option with the highest rating. There are other methods for other purposes. For example, internally, our tariff model, a TTT model, these rates are regulated only by the partners. So in that example, it is not our entire membership, but only the partners that regulate the tariff model. And we use a mechanism called consensus, well, systemic consensus, which measures the resistance people have to a certain option. Everyone, again, has one vote, so everyone is equal, but it's a different method. So in general, to answer your question, everyone has one vote, regardless of the amount of tokens you have, regardless of your karma, at least for right now. But we use different mechanisms based on what kind of problem we want to solve. Yeah, so different issues require different methods of collective intelligence to come to a good result. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and as you probably know, our stack chain uses a consensus called proof of competence. In the future, so this exercise that we do today with this collective writing or collaborative writing is also a kind of learning exercise for us for how to implement these processes in the Collexa system of the future. So we want Collexa to support these collaborative writing efforts and collaboratively write, for example, policies, global policies or regulations to deal with things like climate change or other things. So we can harness the collective intelligence to write global policies. And there we could also use methods that weight different people based on their competence, as we do in StackChain. So people that have, based on some kind of information, a higher level of competence or a higher level of karma can have a higher weighting in the system. It's a possibility, something that we will look into, because when you look at collective intelligence, usually these weighted methods are producing better results. When you have a bit of a weighting that weights like the expert from the layman, not ignoring one or the other, but having different weightings. And so this is something that we might introduce in future, but we also have this value of equality, which is very important. We want to treat people equal. That's why for most of decisions, especially around the pricing, and so it is one person, one vote. Okay. Thank you for the question, Terence. Any other questions? Great. Perfect. So we took a little longer than planned, 15 minutes over time, but I think it was worth it. So thank you all for attending the session. In the next days, we'll start writing. And please, now that you have the input, please go ahead, review the document, leave any comments, let us know what you think, give us your feedback, raise any tensions, and Dan and I and the rest of our team and the other editors will try to incorporate them as much as we can. We will set up this weekly call every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central European time, where people have the opportunity to review. The editors will come together, we will talk about it, and it's an open meeting where everyone is invited to participate. If you have any, if you want to get involved more, if you have specific questions, you can do. We will use our WhatsApp group to communicate things, where you can also chat and ask about questions, but feel encouraged to leave your comments directly in the Google Sheet, so we have everything in one document, and it's easier for the editors to go through all the comments. With that said, I thank you so much for your time. Wish you a great rest of the day, and I'm really looking forward to working on the next version of the Neco white paper and the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day,
Thanks.
everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.